I'm starting to think the entire Pacific Division might be fraudulent. Avs win over the Anaheim Ducks 5-1. This ended up being a pretty comfortable win for the Avalanche, but it could have been very different. Early in the first period, the Avs take 2 penalties, and frankly, Anaheim should have scored on one of them. They had a yawning cage to shoot at and simply missed. I think this is worth noting, not because the Avs screwed up and didn't deserve the fate they ended up with, but because other teams make mistakes too. Failures happen constantly in hockey. It's not about the failure itself, it's about the response very, very often. And this time, the response to the Ducks failing was the Avs stepping up and putting themselves in the driver's seat. And at this point, I think it's safe to say that rumors of Cale Makar's demise were greatly exaggerated. The Avs' second line was actually pretty quiet for most of the night, I thought, but it's plays like this where they feast. They get in on the forecheck, they cause chaos, they're able to force a turnover and create a possession for the Avs that they probably shouldn't have had. Obviously, that's nice work from Brock Nelson initially, but Cale Makar just shows up and does what he does best. He drives the net, tries to get it to the middle, does a good enough job to get it there, but chaos ensues, puck bouncing around. Makar locked in. Puck locked in for him. He sees it the whole way going around the net, knows where it is, finds it, picks it up, recognizes that Anaheim's defense has collapsed here, steps into the space, and just lasers one. That is vintage Cale Makar. Is it fortunate for Cale to end up with that puck where he does? Sure, but that's still just a superstar player making a superstar play. Not one that you sit there and break down and look at how he did this right or that right. You just watch it, you enjoy it, and you know it's something not a lot of people can do. The Avs scoring first is nice, the Avs scoring second is even better, and then you realize it's scored on a power play, and yeah, we are back, baby. Necas on the half wall here, and McKinnon is down low off screen, but when Necas puts this down to McKinnon, look at how much Anaheim respects McKinnon. Down in the corner, they fully commit a man to him while the puck is with him. Landy doing a good job distracting net front, and you have your usual power play set up around that. Necas and Makar are working back and forth here. A couple of things. One, look at how aggressive Makar is off of the blue line. For a lot of this season, the Avs have sagged back and let Makar stay high in the blue line. Being more aggressive here just forces that penalty kill to clamp down, force themselves in the zone, and creates more space for everyone. So I do really like that from Cale. He works the opposite side to Brock, and Brock sends a pass through the seam that's opening up because they don't want it to come back to Cale. And Necas is locked, loaded, doesn't overthink, and lets one fly. Necas has a better one-timer than McKinnon. If you think otherwise, you're wrong, and he just lasers it. This goal means Marty Necas has scored all 3 of the Avs power play goals post-Olympic break. One of those is absolutely an empty netter, fair enough. But the other 2 have come from Marty Necas playing off of that left half wall and just sniping a puck. When you're trying to hammer a nail into something and you have a hammer lying right there, pick up the hammer and nail it in. You don't have to get complicated. Marty on the half wall seems to be the path forward for Colorado. He doesn't have to spend 100% of his time there, but that clearly should be his spot when he wants it. And him playing there also seemed to activate Nathan McKinnon, getting him to move better through the zone while the Avs are on the power play. Even if you want to stick with this for a little while and it ends up not working, it can't possibly make your power play worse. It ends up being an A+ period for the Avs. You're on a Sagababa and you still manage to win the first period 2-0. That sets yourself up for success and maybe gives you a little bit of cushion if you do struggle with your legs. Having a 2-goal lead means the Avs just have to play steady through the rest of the game. If you don't lose a period, you run away with this one. And while the Avs would not lose the second period, it did not start great. Anaheim Ducks breaking out here. It gets a little bit interesting because Nuke kind of gets turnstiled in the middle of the ice, but ultimately this initial play isn't that dangerous. You kind of get more weird decisions from Nuke. Go get the puck after this play falls apart for you. Both your defenders are kind of taking the same guy. Malinsky really needs to step up. But the initial play doesn't burn them. It's a big rebound that comes out, but the Avs are getting back. Brindley has this one. He doesn't have a ton of time and space, but you have to make a quality play with this puck. Whether that's simply throwing it to safety, or making a play to get the puck out of the zone, or even controlling it and finding the space with your feet. Something needs to go right here. Instead, he kind of chips a puck into a guy. It gets touched a little bit, doesn't get you out of the zone, and now you're in trouble. Avs completely collapsed, 4 guys below the hash marks, 2 of them trying trying to take the shot. Your defensemen, one of them's at least defending a guy. Your other two players, well, they're not really defending anything, are you? That's a nightmare of a defensive structure. When the pass comes across, Wedgie doesn't even see it through all the trees. He doesn't even react, basically, and it's in the back of your net. Pretty rough around the edges there, but the key play is Gavin Brindley's got to do something better with that puck. An unnecessary turnover from a guy like him where the Avs lineup is at is a blemish on the record. Look, mistakes happen. Gavin Brindley, I'm sure, will continue playing quality hockey, but we've seen him struggle to produce at times. I know he scored the goal the other night. You can't be giving him back like that. Thankfully, it didn't end up mattering a ton for this game. With Brindley, though, there's a real conversation about Avs roster spots, especially depending on what they do at the trade deadline. If you make a couple more plays like that, you could find yourself on the outside of the lineup looking in. The Avs ultimately settled down into the second period in kind of a weird game. It wasn't necessarily that low of but both teams were missing the net a lot in this one. Which you get from the Avs. Sloppy play is definitely a sign of playing your fifth game in 7 days. You can understand that excuse. But for Anaheim, a bit weird. It just feels like a young, sloppy team that hasn't quite figured it out yet. But then something weird happened. You got past the halfway point in this game where you would expect the Avs to start to slow down and, frankly, Anaheim to outplay them. And that didn't happen. In fact, the opposite happened. At least while the game was still close, the Avs seemingly found another gear, turned it up, and decided to take over this one. It's the Energizer Bunnies of the Avs' depth that come up with a big insurance goal before the second is even over. Against weaker teams, Cale Makar transforms the game of hockey simply by existing. Jack Drury is carrying this puck up. I actually think it's a cute little play where he goes off the wall to try to get this puck in and get it himself. It doesn't quite work out, but it does create a situation where he can knock a puck loose, and Cale Makar has done exactly what he needs to do on this play. He's coming in trailing behind Drury to be support. Now, if the play goes perfectly, he's sitting at the blue line to be support for a back pass or a drop pass or some option there. Before a loose puck, he's immediately on top of it to jump in and get the Avs a clean ozone possession, and he immediately cuts to the middle of the ice, taking all of the attention and using the space given to him. That completely distracts Anaheim from Parker Kelly. You also get a good net drive here, to be fair, but creates a ton of space for Parker Kelly for what should be a decent opportunity. Kelly, unfortunately, fans on it, but he's able to recollect and get it back to Makar, and the exact same thing happens. Look at this ice right now. All 5 players on Anaheim staring at Cale Makar. Now, some of them are at least loosely marked to their players, but Cale Makar just magnetizes people. They just completely give up the side of the ice where Parker Kelly is still just standing there. They forget Parker Kelly exists because Cale Makar exists. So when he gets it back to Kelly, Kelly doesn't even use the space that great. If he was a little bit pacier, he probably gets inside the top of the circle, but it creates room for other players when Cale Makar does things like that, and Kelly picks a nice shot on this one. It's a dream season for Parker Kelly at this point. And obviously a dream situation for the Avalanche, having already locked that guy up for less than $2 million, making C-Mac look real smart is Kelly. And if we're being realistic, Parker Kelly's shooting 19% this year. His career shooting percentage is just over 10, so it's gonna come back down to earth. But while you're having the season that he's having, yeah, just keep feeding that guy the puck and keep riding the enjoyable play. This is a guy who not only gives the Avs quality minutes on the defensive end, but is contributing significantly offensively. After this game, Parker Kelly is the guy with the 6th most goals on the Avalanche with 15. That is really, really good for a bottom 6 guy. And I'm not gonna fool myself. Parker Kelly isn't blossoming into a top 6 or honestly even a middle 6 player, but he is blossoming into a guy that is some of the best in the role that he plays. So you're sitting up 3-1 after 2 periods, and the reason is special teams. The Avs won the special teams battle. They won it early. It's amazing how much easier that makes your life. And as if to put a stamp on this game, the Avs come out hot in the third. And apparently, this is underachieving. I'm going to be honest, this is not a good clear by Brent Burns by any stretch of the imagination. It's not very strong, it's not very effective, and there's a duck right there. But that duck bobbles it. And who's ready to clean up the mess? Gabe Landeskog immediately jumps on that puck, gets it up the ice, and the Avs are going the right direction thanks to Gabe. McKinnon and Necas turning on the speed here. Again, Anaheim, maybe a little bit of work needs to be done on avoiding the puck watching and overcommitting to the puck carrier from them. But take advantage of a team who's struggling in that regard. MacKinnon sees the lane, Landy stepping into the lane. Landy's got a pretty big bomb too. Man, is that fun. Feels a lot like the three-headed monster is back. Obviously, the chemistry between MacKinnon and Necas has been there for a good little while now, but seeing Landy get up to that level of play again, seeing how he's played out of this Olympic break, ooh, it's hard not to feel excited. That pretty much cooked the game, but we also have a bonus goal from the Avs with a little less than 10 minutes left in the game, and I just want to point out how they find success with the Avs' depth here. Pucks coming in from outside, but guys getting to the dirty areas, finding the rebounds, and continuing to go to work. When the Avs go to work, some of these quote-unquote good teams can't seem to hang with them. Did the Avs catch some good breaks in this game finally? Yeah, for sure. They caught some good breaks, and they were able to take advantage of them. That's the important part. When the bounces are going your way, you have to win. Doesn't matter that you're on a Segabop. It doesn't matter that you're on a 5-7. You got to live in the moment, play the game you're in, and do the job, and the Avs did. 4-1 in this stretch of 5-7. That is really good hockey, even if it was frustrating to watch at times. Yeah, the Avs have a bunch of the best players on the planet. We'll leave it there. That is the end of this game video review. Thank you for watching. I am Rudo, and call out Avs players at your own risk.